what words best describe Doc? And it's not words that describe him, but it's a saying. I'm not sure who said it, but it goes something like this. You can't go through life wearing two catcher's mitts. You have to take one off and throw something back. This gentleman has thrown quite a bit back, and for that we're all better.
We are here today because I want my family and my children and grandchildren to know my life, what I did in my life, and what I have to do to achieve my goal to be successful. I was born in Pipalia on May 5, 1936. Originally, we are Kadwa Patidar, means Patel, Kadwa Patel. It's a long story. Originally, they are Aryans who migrated from Mesopotamia, from Iran, through the Afghanistan, to the Indus Valley in northern India, in Punjab. From there, because of the repeated attack by the foreigners, robbing them and killing them, they migrated down south and to the west. Sutaria clan was started with one person who migrated from Punjab to Rajasthan to our village, Pipalia. His name was Banjibai. My grandson is the 11th generation of his migration. My grandfather's name was Raja Amba Sutaria. My grandfather was a big farmer. He was a very brave person. He was a leader in the town. At one time, we had a bandit called Bhupat, who was robbing and terrorizing all small villages. And he was the one who was patrolling the entire town with a few other people to protect the people in the town against any terror attack by this bandit. And that's how he was known. He will also become a member of the I-man leading community which will control the town. And all the town's problems were solved by this 5-man committee. He will solve the problem between the border disputes, marriage, to any other issues in the town. So he was a leader.
From the NBC newsroom in New York, President Roosevelt said in a statement today that the Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, from the air.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
Our village was small, 900 population, consists of mainly 6 or 7 big farmers with over 100-acre land. Most of the crops were peanuts, and peanut oil and peanut was the main business in that region. Peanut oil was primarily used for cooking. My grandfather was illiterate. My grandmother also was illiterate, and they worked very hard. My grandmother was a very quiet woman, and everybody respected her. She hardly ever get angry on anybody, and everybody loved her. My grandfather, apart from farming, also a businessman. He used to buy peanuts from these small farmers, pay the money in advance, and trade it in the future in a bigger town called Dharaji. So that's how my father and my uncle learned how to do future trading in peanuts and peanut oil. My grandfather had 4 children. The oldest name was Arjun. He had a 4th-grade education, but he did teach in the school, primary school. My father was the second oldest. His name was Kurji. My other uncle, called Chagan, he had some injury to his leg and has a deformed ankle area. So he always walked lame. And he did not have any education, but my father and other 2 brothers were studied up to 4th grade. There was no school in that village, and they went on a dirt path about a mile to the bigger village where they attended the school. After 4th grade, everybody quit, and they started either working in the farm or they started doing the business. When I was 1 year old, my father and my uncle moved to the bigger town, Dharaji, which has a population of 40,000. Most of the things I have to say good thing about is my uncle. My uncle was a tremendous family person. He had so much respect for his family, and he took care of everybody. He took care of all his brothers and their children. In no matter what condition they were, he was always there to help them and guide them.
In thinking about some of the early influences on my father, Mohan uncle, which is his father's younger brother, was one of the dominant influences in his life. I never got to meet him. Unfortunately, he died at a young age, well before I was born. But when my father talks about him, he says that he was really a visionary type of a person. Again, they were living in a small village in India. And, you know, this was the man who basically said that the way to get ahead in this world is through education. And that was, as far as I know, a fairly unique outlook coming from this part of the world. And with that influence and that support, I really think that's what led my dad to pursue education as a means to, you know, better himself and to leave India and to, you know, achieve some of the things that he later achieved. Those are philosophies that I hold dear as well. I mean, I still think that in America, your best opportunities come through education. But I think that's the crux of it. From everything I know, Mohan uncle was someone who supported him when he decided to go to college. In that village, my father and one of his friends were the first 2 kids to ever go to college, and that was, again, a changing time, but a unique, you know, a unique environment. And I think he got a lot of support from my uncle.
My mom was a tremendous person. She was very strong. Technically, was very strong. She was skinny, but very, very strong. Worked very hard from morning to evening. She takes shower in the morning at 5 o'clock. She does her prayers. If she wakes us up around 6:30 while making round around the house, and she has that incense, you know, smell all around. She does her prayer with the God and things like that, and singing bhajans. This was her every day in the morning and routine.
She was an interesting woman. Living in India, she was completely illiterate. She never was taught how to read or write, and that was just the nature of the education system at that time. That being said, she was probably the intellectual influence for my father. She's a very, very smart person. And if I'm trying to figure out, how my father ended up being a bright guy that got ahead, I think a lot of that had to come from her. She apparently had this photographic memory, had the ability to tell historic stories and family stories, and just really, was always a very bright, captivating person. She was a hard-working person, and I think that is almost certainly where my dad's work ethic came from as well.
I had 12 brothers and sisters in our family. One sister died at birth. The other sister died at the age of 3. Her name was Prabha. She was engaged to a boy from the surrounding other big town. To keep this engagement after her death, they decided to fix my engagement with boy's mother who was expecting the baby in near future. They called Pete Chandla, means they pregnant woman's belly, they put a tilak and decided if she delivers the baby girl, my engagement was fixed. That's how when she delivered the baby girl, I was engaged to a girl who was not even born at that time. Childhood marriage was common at that time. Okay, my mother and my father married at the age of 13. Okay, but my mother never lived with my father. They got married at her place, and my father came home alone, and she came to live with my father when she was 17 or 18. But the childhood marriage was very common. And my grandfather was the one who was fixing all the marriages. He is the one who usually travels around and usually picks a big farmer or businessman from the surrounding villages, and he fixes his children and his grandchildren's marriages. My childhood was very happy childhood because we were financially doing very well. We have a commodity business, and I used to go with my father or with my uncle to the shop in the morning when they go to work, and then then the servant would take me on a bicycle to the primary school, and at the end the servant would pick me up from the school to our shop, commodity trading shop, and from there either they drop me to the home or I will come with my father or uncle in the evening. As a kid, we lived in Doraji. We lived on the second floor, and we have a 2-bedroom apartment with one main lobby and the kitchen separate. And my uncle and my father lived together. We didn't have the bed because we used to live on the mattresses. We filled with the cotton, and that we piled up in the evening, put it in one corner, and in the evening we spread it apart and everybody sleeps in the mattress on the ground, on the floor. My main language was Gujarati. It is a local language in the state of Gujarat. So India, after the independence, divided into the 18 different states based on the primary language they spoke in that state. So all the 18 states in India are based on the language. But then they introduced the compulsory language called Hindi. Every state must teach Hindi to all the students. And I also learned English from 9th grade onward. So I learned English 9th grade onward, continued to the college, and all our college education was in English. I think when I was probably around 10-year-old, I had a typhoid fever. Typhoid fever is a kind of a bacterial infection, and you get the diarrhea, GI symptoms basically. Fever, diarrhea, and GI symptoms, and you have to be treated properly. Our doctor was giving me the streptomycin injection. It was a 3-week course, and this daily streptomycin injection that caused partial deafness in my ear. I still have that, but somehow or other I learned to adjust.
Tokyo admits extensive damage caused by the atomic bomb at Hiroshima. New air attacks have been thrown against Japan. Washington and other allied capitals are buzzing with speculation about the new bomb and its possibilities.
Has today surrendered. The last of our enemies is laid low. Peace has once again come to the world. Let us thank God for this great deliverance.
The other thing I did during my childhood was that I was a very physically active person. I participated in many sports activities. I was a member of the RSS, which was called the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, which was a right-wing Hindu organization. At that time, there were two groups of people. One was the Mahatma Gandhi, who believed in non-violence and getting independence from the British by non-violence means. While there was another leader called Subhash Chandra Bose. He believed that only way we can get independence is by defeating the British. So he had RSS organized all around the country in a small group, every town and every village, where they prepare the young children or adult to teach them how to fight the war. So I used to go in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, and we played the war game in that place, and sports activities, and that's how they install us, the Indian spirit, to defeat the British. And then when Gandhi was killed by a right-wing organization called Gokhale, RSS member, I was shocked. On that day, I quit RSS and never went back again because of the right-wing organization I didn't understand before. I was, at that time, was 11-year-old when Gandhi died. After that, I continued the sport activity, but we were playing in the field hockey. I used to go in the gym, played the soccer, also played cricket. And that's how I was very active in sports. I used to read a lot, some stories. I go to library and read some books and things like that, and occupied myself that way. Plus, there was a gramophone. We used to listen to the music. For the news, we use the radio to get the news. Of course, newspaper is there to read the newspaper. But that's how we kept ourselves busy. But most of the time, I kept busy by having the sports activity, something to do every day. I loved the school. I was a good student. I've never been a first or second, but I've always been a first 5 student. third, fourth, or fifth in a class. And I don't think I was the brightest person there, but I worked very hard. Whatever I achieved the higher grade is because of the hard work. I studied very hard. As a result, I was getting a better grade. And I did really well. And I thought I enjoyed it. I participate in a lot of school activities. In the annual program, I used to participate in a parade and lazim and a lot of other school activities. And I did that most of it. And when I was 15-year-old, suddenly commodity business was shut down by Nehru government, Indian government. The primary reason for shutting down this future trading in peanuts and peanut oil was the tremendously raising prices of the peanut oil, so the poor people cannot afford to buy the peanut oil. So as a result, the business was shut down. Trading business, commodity trading was shut down. My uncle and my father had a lot of open position in the trading on the peanuts and peanut oil. As a result, the peanut and peanut oil market collapsed, and they sustained tremendous losses. Many trading firms declared bankruptcy. My father and my uncle paid off their debt, whatever they have assets in that town, and left with nothing. He wanted to start the commodity business again, but he didn't have money. But he went to Delhi. He met with Nehru. I have his picture with Nehru. And he was successful convincing the Nehru to open the commodity business in Doraji because it was essential for the farmer to get the money in advance so they can plant and can trade the peanut on the future. And he was successful. He got that thing done, but unfortunately many firms went bankrupt and he didn't have money to start all over again. After that, we have a tremendously downhill course in our finances, and our life has changed. My uncle tried to do some other business, but he was not successful. Then he worked with the other couple of companies on a salary basis, and he managed to survive. My father was in Doraji. He had no other things to do. He didn't know what to do. He lived because of my uncle, and they were together. But after that thing closed down, my father was totally lost. So my mother was the person who saved our family. She was a courageous woman, very hardworking, and strong woman. She convinced my father that let's move back from Doraji because we cannot afford to stay in this town. It was a big town and the cost is too high and we have no income. We go back to our village and we will start working in a farm. We have an income. We'll buy one buffalo and one cow, and that's what they did. We received one house in our share from my grandfather with 25-acre land. That house happened to be very old and mud house. We began to living there. I was at that time 16-year-old, and they put me in a boarding school in a big town, Doraji, and I went back to the school. Even though I understood at that time that my family is having a trouble even paying for the boarding school. But after 6 months I decided that I will go back to the village and do up and down with a bicycle 3 miles distance to finish my last 6 months in high school. I think it was very important that you have to have a goal in doing something. Once you establish a goal that I want to do something, then I concentrate and devote 100% of my energy to achieve that goal. That's how the work ethic came into it. So when I decided I want to be a doctor. Why I want to be a doctor? Because I saw my family doctor. His name was Dr. Canaria. He was a very nice man. He had a very good house, he had a car, and he was enjoying his life. I said, okay, I want to be like him. I want to be a doctor so I can earn a lot of money and live a good life and take care of the family. That's what I got the idea to become a doctor. When I graduated from the high school, that summer I worked in the farm with my mother and father and helped them to save some money by not hiring farm workers. So we did that and worked very well. After that, 3 months of the summer vacation from the high school, I got admission into the Baudin College, Junagadh. That college was very close. It was about 14 miles from our village. I liked the college, it was very good. I also got admitted into the hostel, which provides the living accommodation, but no food service. So we stayed there. The place was reasonably good. I have one room partner, and we spent time together. We had a good group of friends. Some from the surrounding area, a couple of guys from my village, and also from the big town Doraji. And so we had a good team to enjoy ourselves and have a lot of fun. We used to go out every evening, spend 2-3 hours in the main square. Sometimes we go to the movie, and we had a great time in the evening. However, I thought at that time that I would not be able to concentrate on my study if I stay in this college because of the social commitment with other friends and a lot of disturbances from everywhere. So I decided not to come that college again in the second year. I passed first year, there was no problem with that. I still had that ambition to become a doctor. To become a doctor, I have to get a good grade in a second year in a college, because that was the key. If you don't get a good grade, you don't get into medical school. So to get a good grade, you have to study very hard. And I intend to study very hard, and that's why I decided that I would not come back to the same college again because of the lot of distraction. I left that college, came to the village. I had a 3 months vacation, summer vacation, before I go to the second college, and I was working in the farm with my parents. Suddenly, my father-in-law and their wealthy relatives came to my village to fix up my wedding. So I told my uncle and my grandfather and parents that I am not going to get married. So please don't arrange any wedding, and tell them that I want to be a doctor and I will get married after I finish my medical school. So they came, and I went to the farm to do some farm work while they were talking about it, and they had a lunch, and they fixed up my wedding 3 weeks from that date. And my parents or my uncle could not say no because of their pride and reputation. So when I came back for the lunch from the farm, they told me that my wedding has already been arranged and fixed, which will be 3 weeks from now. I said, I told you not to fix my wedding. They said we could not say no I said, no, I would not get married no matter what you say, yes or no. Because I immediately took the bicycle, went to the Doraji, which was 2 miles away, and I knew where their wealthy family, friends and relatives live. I went their home, and they were sitting after the lunch in their sitting room, and I told them that you have fixed up the wedding, but I don't agree with that. I don't want to get married, but I promise you that I will marry your daughter when I finish my medical school. They said, oh, you know, this at that time, you know, girls cannot be that unmarried, remain unmarried. They all get married at the age of 17 and 18, and this is very difficult for them. We request you to accept this wedding and continue. I told them I want to be a doctor, and it will take another 6 years. So after 6 years, I promise you that I will marry your daughter. However, they did not believe me and broke the marriage. When I went to the second college, which was called the Samal Das College in Bhavnagar, which was about 30 miles from my village, I was 18. I was determined not to have friends or circles or anything and just concentrate on my study. I did not want to stay in a hostel where you usually have a lot of friends. So I did not stay in a boarding school or the hostel. So I went and rented a small place, which was about 2 miles from our college. There were several rooms in that area for the rent, and I rented one of them. The walls and the roof was made with the tin sheets, you know, corrugated tin sheets. It get very hot in the afternoon because of the heat. But I didn't care about it, and I just wanted to be myself and study. And there were 2 rooms in that place. In front, I usually use small room for the taking bath and the making a tea. And the back room was the bedroom, which was also very small. My tin bag where I carry my clothes and everything else was used as a table. I sit on that things and write on that bag, and it was used as a table. That's how I studied at night. We had electricity at that time, so we could read at night. And I studied very hard. I go to the college, I walked to the college, which was 2 miles, and studied, attend my classes, study in a library, and come back and study at home. I used to go to bed early so I can wake up around 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning and study 4 or 5 hours before I go to the college. That was my usual habit all this year, and it worked out very well. Most of the time I ate 1 meal a day. It was not that difficult. Once you get used to a smaller meal, it is not very difficult. But I had 1 good meal every day. I was completely happy. I was extremely happy that I am making a good progress. I am studying hard, and I knew that I will do very well and I will get a good grade. But you can never be sure in the result of the examination. Ultimately, I took the exam and I passed. I got a very, very good grade, and I got admitted into the medical school. I also get an extra 1.5% for participating in college sports. At that time, I was participating in soccer and the cricket, and another 1.5% for participating in NCC, what called National Cadet Corps. You know, it was a military training type of things, and I did that, participate in that. So as a result, I got 3% extra, which I really did not need it, but it was a plus for me, and I was one of the top 5 people admitted into the medical school at that time. I got a letter from medical school when I was in a village. It came into the village, that I got admitted into the medical school. It was a MP Shah Medical College in Jamnagar. And so I decided immediately the next day to go to the college. I went to get a blessing from my uncle, my grandfather and my grandmother who were in Doraji. So I went there, got their blessing, and they were very, very happy to see that I will be a doctor, especially my grandfather and my uncle. And then I took their leave and took the bus from Doraji to Jamnagar, which was about a couple of hours. Then from there, I saw the medical school, I paid up my fees, and I went to see the hostel. The hostel was nothing but a big gin mill, which they emptied out all the machines and all the equipment. There was a water pump in the middle of that, and they put 30 cots, 30 beds in there, and there are 2 side rooms. They put 10 beds on each, and I saw that, and then I went back to the college, and from there I took a bus back to Doraji, and from Doraji I went to my village, Pipalia. I reached in the evening around 7 o'clock. And all of a sudden I see at my home, the people are mourning the death of my grandfather. My grandfather died 1 hour after I left Doraji. He suddenly had a major heart attack and he died. So in our tradition, that if the death becomes earlier, before sunsets, you usually cremate them immediately. If after the sunset, they usually wait till morning. So he was cremated, and everybody was sitting and mourning his death. That was a tremendous shock to me. It took me a long time to overcome the death of my grandfather. He was elderly, he was, I think, in late 70s or early 80s. And I accepted that ultimately, but it was very hard for me to do that. After that, the vacation was over, and I went to the medical school. I had a good time in medical school. I was a captain of the cricket team in medical school, and I played the cricket regularly. I studied hard, and first year in medical school are basic science, anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, pharmacology, and other subjects. But my favorite subject was anatomy, and we did the cadaver dissection. And one of the instructor or assistant professor was Dr. Bhargav. He was very fond of me. He was a very good teacher, and he saw my dissection. He told me, I have a very good hand, and you will become a good surgeon. So keep in mind that. And he gave me several projects to prepare for the museum, anatomy museum. It was a new college and needed anatomy museum for the other student to study the anatomy and muscles and nerves and everything. So he gave me several projects to dissect and prepare for the museum. I did that. I think I did about 7 or 8 projects to finish the dissection. One of the famous one was the chorda tympani, which was a very difficult dissection. The nerve originates in the brain, coming out of the skull, passes behind the ear, goes between the 2 layers of your eardrum, and comes out and joins the lingual nerve, the nerve for the tongue, who carries the taste bud. This nerve carries the taste sensation from tongue to the brain. And I dissected carefully without injuring the nerve, and it was very famous. So a few years later, When I went to the MPSA Medical College, I went to see the anatomy museum. Those specimens are still there, still there. I felt very happy about it. That summer I went to the town. I still work in the farm with my father and mother and everybody else, and I also become very friendly with our family physician, Dr. Canaria. I went to see him frequently in his dispensary. He used to love to have a talk with me and show me, now he knew that I would be a doctor, show me how to do general practice. A few days a week I used to go there and stay with him to learn general practice. And he was very good at it. So that really was great for me. I also became friendly with many other doctors in that town, Doraji, because there are a group of 6 or 7 doctors, very close friends. They used to get together every Friday, in one place called Dr. Geria's home, and he was very fond of friends, and we used to play bridge there sometimes other card game, and we had a lot of fun. 3-4 hours after the dinner, we go there and I enjoy that company. So now I finished the first MBBS. We did not have a second MBBS in Jamnagar. It was a new school, only the basic science. For second MBBS, we went to the BJ Medical College, Ahmedabad, which was a almost 100-year-old medical school. So we went there for the second MBBS and third MBBS. Second MBBS is basically a clinical. You go and attend the lectures, and then you go to the ward and you attend you see the patient with the medicine, surgery, and all other specialty. So that was a good fun. I had a great time doing it, but my favorite subject was still surgery. I love to have the surgery. Somehow or other, Dr. Fargo implanted the seed on me that I should be a surgeon. So I decided that I want to be a surgeon, and I did very well. I always get an excellent grade in surgery. But I passed second MBBS. Then I went to the third MBBS, again the clinical. And during the third MBBS, we celebrated our BJ Medical College century. 100 years old BJ Medical College, we have a huge function for 7 days. All the famous actors and actresses was invited from Bombay, Bollywood actors, and we had a lot of functions, and I participate in many of those functions. And I participate in Ras Garba, which is dancing, and we have drama and all other things. But it was a wonderful, wonderful time. We became very close to some of the professors during that century's celebration. And it was a lot of fun, I really enjoyed it. After finishing, I passed the exam, final MBBS, and then we have to do the internship. I got a very good grade in surgery, so I was accepted for the postgraduate, which is called the Masters of Surgery, MS course. Internships are usually done in 4 places, 3 months each. So we have 4 different rotations, and one of the rotation, was usually in a clinic. You go 3 months, stay and study with, observe the other attending physician and work with them. Then you go to other places, same way, 4. The one of them has to be a public health. And I was doing the one public health, which was near Jamnagar, near my MPSA Medical College, were called Aliyabada. So there we go in a village, and from village program there, look at it and see what is done. Sometimes there is a vaccination problem or whatever, and we come back. So this is usually a field trip into the village to see and learn about their health problem. One day in the evening when I came back from the village, I saw in my place where I was staying in Eliabara, Mercedes car and chauffeur-driven driver. And I did not know anything about it, so the man was in the car, came out as soon as I came, and he introduced me that his name is Trivon Bhai Patel. I heard his name because he is one of the big industrialists in our community. He had so many businesses in Africa and in India, and he was straightforward. He told me that I know your parents very well, I know your grandfather, especially your uncle, and I'm looking for a match from my daughter, and I would like you to come and visit us and see her. So just give us a chance to have that opportunity. Nothing more, nothing less, straightforward. And so I thought over it. I said, okay, I am looking for the girl now, because at that point I think I have seen about 2 or 3 girls, because my parents were insisting, saying at least. So I have seen a couple of, but I was not impressed with any of them. My family and my uncle and my father, mother and me, we went to see the Vimla in their mill. They have a gin mill and the solvent plant and oil mill. So we stayed there in their bungalow, and Vimla came, served the tea when we reached there, sit down next to me, and we have few words, exchange. And then after that, we had a lunch, which she served. And after that, we came back our home. My father-in-law called next day to my uncle, want to know my reaction. I told my uncle that I cannot make up my mind, because I hardly ever knew her. I just saw her and I have few word exchange. I like to see her again. But this time I don't want anybody there except me and her. So we would request to grant that permission. My father said there is no problem whatsoever. I am building a big place. I have built a big place in Junagadh, where I studied in college. He had a 100-acre land and the big bungalow. So he said, you go there, we have a lot of servants there, we'll attend you and take care of you. So next time I went there in Junagadh, and I spent about 4 hours with Vimla.
Well, first time when I met him, my father didn't mention me that he is coming to see me. He just told me, today we're going to have a guest in the afternoon, so wear the sari, and it happens many times. So I said, okay, and they came and I took the tea for everybody, and just we sat down and talk, and friendly talk we had. And in the evening after they left, my father said, did you like that boy? And then suddenly it struck me. I said, oh my gosh, my father is trying to match me up with this boy. And then I just say, I think the boy seems to be very nice, he's educated, and I did like him, but I want to finish my study also, because I was just going to start my 3rd year in college. And he said, that's not a problem, if you like. And he's finishing his MD degree already, and I think our family is very good, and I think me and your mom really liked him. And then I says, okay. It was a little bit shock for me, because my sister older than me, she was in the medical college. Usually in our culture, usually the sibling, older one always gets married first, then the youngest turn come. So that was, for me, it was a shock and a surprise also, why my father want me to get married first. But my sister says, I won't get married till I finish my medical college. So my father thought, I don't want this boy to go, I want him to be in my family. So that's the reason, he convinced me that we don't want this family to go. It's a good family for us. And that's why I says, okay.
I think when they arrange the marriage, usually they have a good understanding of the family background, their culture, the matching culture, and also they match the boys and the girl pretty reasonably well. They would not have most handsome boy marrying ugliest girl. That will never happen, because so they look for the proper match, education-wise and everything else. So if they're uneducated, it's different. Then they just go for probably the wealth. And now the people become rich, and now the rich marries the rich and poor marries the poor, and that sort of class system is already developing or developed already. But now that system is gone. Most of, I would say today, 80% of the marriages are love marriage and not arranged marriage. If it's arranged, usually they have enough time to find out about each other before they decide. When we decide about the engagement was done first, which was a very simple engagement. Then I told my father-in-law, Tribhuvan Bhai, that my family cannot afford the very expensive wedding. We don't have that kind of resources. And I want to have a very simple wedding.
It's a typical Indian wedding ceremony. My husband's medical friends all came. I had my sister in medical college, she was there, and my younger sister's there. Whole family could not able to come from Kenya, just the community. At that time, India was going through a lot of difficult time, and they were trying to make the marriages smaller scale rather than having a very large wedding, which most of the rich people used to do, spend a lot of money. Wedding was one of the main event in their life, in the parents' life for the children. And he decided he's not going to invite more than 150 people. And because of that, even our side family and a lot of our guests, they did not send out the invitation. And same thing happened to my husband's side family. And still I hear that, we were not invited in your wedding.
And it turned out that it was starting a new trend, that being a very wealthy person, he did a simple wedding. And there was articles in the newspapers and everybody else that the industrialists, very wealthy men, did the very simple wedding and spent the minimum amount of money. I didn't want to spend money in honeymoon, so she came. We stayed in a village. We have one home, which was a mud house basically, because our share from my grandfather's property, we had 4 houses. It was the oldest house, which we got it in our share. And there was also one 2-room stone building, small. So that we use as our honeymoon. So we have privacy in the second floor. The first floor was used to store the peanuts there. So we climb over the peanut bag and climb to go to our honeymoon suites, what I call that. And ultimately it worked out all right. We developed intimacy, and we beginning to like each other. And by the time we just discover each other, their parents came and to bring her back to their place. So we spent 7 nights together, and that was it. Then from there she went to the college to finish her 3rd year in college in Bombay. And I went to Ahmedabad to do the master's in surgery. So that was 6 months surgical residency. My wife was in Bombay and I was in Ahmedabad. We wrote a letter to each other. Occasionally we talk on the phone. But I wanted to go to England for surgical training, FRCS. So I mentioned to my father-in-law that I had a desire to go to England. He said, okay, why don't you come here in Nairobi first and see what we can do. You come and visit our family and we will decide from there what to do. Fine. So he sent me the plane ticket for me and my wife. I sent the plane ticket back. I said, okay, we'll come because we will arrange our own transportation. I could not justify spending somebody's money for luxury like traveling by plane at that time, because I never traveled by plane before. I always traveled by bus or train. So that was the reason I say that, and I really didn't want to spend somebody's money. I went to Bombay. I spent a week with her in Bombay, and then we took a boat from Bombay to Mombasa. It was a third-class ticket in a boat. Somebody came in Mombasa to receive us on the port because my father-in-law arranged that, and we already have a ticket for the train. So we went from there to Nairobi. At that time, my father-in-law felt that he will convince me to stay in Nairobi and do general practice. And he already negotiated to buy the general practice from one of his friend was retiring in general practice. And he said, you settle down here in Nairobi, we'll buy you practice and you will enjoy it. It's a good weather, good town, a lot of family here. I said, no, I'm not interested in doing general practice. I want to be a surgeon. He tried very hard. Different ways, different things, you know. But I was insistent that I want to be a surgeon and I have no desire whatsoever to do general practice. So finally he understood that I would not agree on anything. Then he says, okay, then if you are want to be a surgeon, go to London for FRCS. Then we have wedding, a lot of their partners, children studying in London coming for the wedding, family wedding there. And when they go back, you go with them. And they will help you to settle down in London. I said, that's fine. After that, I flew. The first time I ever flew the plane to London. And when we landed in London, my father-in-law's partners and their children, there was a house in London. So my father-in-law told me that you can stay with them as long as you want. And there were basically the 4 girls living there. I feel very uncomfortable living with the 4 girls there. So I told them that, look here, it's nice of you to invite me to stay here as long as I want, but I have no desire to stay here. I want you to call Indian YMCA in London. So one of the girls called Indian YMCA, and he said, yes, there is a room available. I went to the Indian YMCA, they gave me the room, breakfast and dinner included in that rate. And he says, we can't keep you too long here unless you are a student or you taking the courses. So I said, okay. So next day, I went from there to Royal College of Surgeons in London for FRCS to join the courses. I did not know the course was already started 3 days earlier. But I told them that, look here, can I join it? He said, yeah, pay up your fees and start attending classes now. So I paid up my fees for the course and started attending the classes. It was basically a basic science for Part 1 FRCS exam to study that. And I studied very hard. I stayed in the Indian YMCA. I walk basically every day, which was about 3 miles. 3 months went by. I finished the course. One day, while waiting in cafeteria, I met a Indian surgeon, cardiothoracic surgeon, who was trained at McGill University in cardiothoracic surgery in Canada. And he was a very nice man. He was Sindhi. His name was Daulat Ram. So Daulat Ram told me, Manu, don't stay for your training, surgical training in England. Surgical training is far better and superior in the United States than in England. So he also asked me that if you have any bone sets, human bone, to study. I said, yes, I have a bone set with me for the Part 1 exam to study, to learn about all the skeleton characteristic of the bones and muscles and where the muscle insert and origin and the nerve crossing and the arteries and veins and things like that. So he liked that. Okay, then he said, I would like to come and study with you. So he used to come and we studied together. So I have to pass first the primary FRCS. But before that, I wanted to get a GMC license, General Medical Council license. With that license, you can practice in any Commonwealth country, including Canada, Australia, and all other Commonwealth countries. So once you have that, you have a wide opening to settle down anywhere you want to with your surgical degree. So for that reason, I decided to do 6 months residency in surgery and 6 months residency in medicine. While I was doing my primary courses at Royal College of Surgeons, I applied several places to get residency in medicine. I got residency in medicine at Orpington Hospital, Orpington, Kent, which was about 20 miles from London. So as soon as I finished the exam, a few weeks later I got the residency. So I went to the Orpington. It was a residency in medicine. The life was very easy there. You know, I never experienced such luxury in my life. You know, you go there, in the morning, maids knocks the door of a residence, wakes you up, brings a bed tea, puts the tea in front of you before you open your eyes. You have a tea. Then you order your breakfast. I was strictly vegetarian, basically. I didn't eat eggs, I didn't eat meat, so it was cereals and milk and tea. So it was very simple for me. I was assigned to one ward, which was about 25 patients there, and I was in charge of that. And we go and make a round in each one and see how they medicine their needs and anybody had any problem. Then I have a senior registrar. We used to come every day in the morning, and I make a round with her, see any changes and anything needs to be done. And then our boss, attending, would come. And first thing we have a tea and biscuit with the boss, and tell them, you know, what's happening in the patients and things like that. Then we'll make a round with the boss. It takes very simple 10 minutes to 15 minutes. And that is all done, work done. And then afternoon we have a clinic for 2 hours. The day is over. And it was very easy life, straightforward. My pay was 30 guineas, 30 pounds. 30 pounds I pay, but I remember my family needed the money. I used to send 13 pounds out of my 30 to my father, so he can send my brothers and sisters to the college, to the school, college. Ever since I have my first paycheck, I always send money to my father to take care of the other children.
In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas.
The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
John F. Kennedy was assassinated. I was at the Orpington Hospital, Orpington, Kent, in England. I think it was in the afternoon that time, and suddenly news came out on television, and I watched it. I think I was shocked. Young president was killed. I think he touched a lot of people at that time, especially the young family and young children, and losing a very promising president who was going to do a lot of good for this country and for the world.
Vice President Lyndon Johnson has left the hospital in Dallas, but we do not know to where he has proceeded. Presumably, he will be taking the oath of office shortly and become the 36th President of the United States.
After I finishing my 6 months residency in medicine, I came back to London and I got a residency in surgery in Farnborough Hospital, Farnborough, Kent. So I did that 6 months residency in surgery. After finishing that 6 months in surgery, I got my GMC license. I achieved that goal. And now I wanted to pass primary FRCS. That was my goal. After finishing residencies and everything, come back to London. I was staying in a very cheap hotel, and I wanted to study for FRCS. I didn't want to do any other residency anymore, so I decided to go to Dublin. Dublin was very cheap. I was staying as a paying guest to one of the police officers and his wife in Dublin, and it was far less expensive than what it cost in London. So I stayed there for about almost 3 months. So I usually take a bus from that residence to Royal College of Surgeons in Dublin, and where I study anatomy specimen and all other things which they bring for the exam, and sometimes attend the classes. There are always classes going on in the things, or some lectures. So I attend those off and on, but basically to study in the museums. And after a few weeks, I decided to take the Part 1 exam. So I took a Part 1 exam. The result comes back after 2 weeks, and I pass. So then I had to take Part 2 FRCS exam, which was the oral. So they bring all the specimen, dissected specimen. I have to identify which artery, nerve, and all other things. Give you the bone, and you have to identify which muscle is inserted, and things like that. So it was like a oral exam on a basic science, and they give you the results same day. So at the end, we finished. In the evening, I saw my name that I passed. July 27, 1964, I passed primary FRCS. So when I passed the primary FRCS, I called my friend Dr. Daulat Ram and told him that I passed my primary FRCS today, and you told me to go to United States, and I don't know anybody in the United States. So he said, okay, I'm going to call my friend. His name is Ambu Patel, who was with me in McGill in Canada, in Toronto. And I will find out he's doing a second-year residency at Johnson City, New York, and see if there is any opening there. So he immediately called Ambu Patel, and he said, yes, we have one unfilled position as an intern and one unfilled position as a first-year resident. And if he wants to come, he has to talk to the chief of surgery. So next day, I called Ambu Patel at Johnson City, Wilson Memorial Hospital, Johnson City, New York, and he gave the phone to Dr. Smith. Dr. Smith interviewed me on the phone for almost 20 minutes. He told me that, I like you. You have a fair amount of experience. You're doing a lot of things. And I cannot promise you as a first-year resident, but I probably would consider you as an intern. And after 2 weeks, if I think you have enough experience, then I will promote you as a first-year resident. But you have to be here within 1 week. To make this thing happen, I am sending you the telegram offering a job and the position as an intern. With that telegram, you go to the US Embassy and you will get a visa, student visa. So I say, okay, fine. And I told Dr. Smith, please send the telegram to my friend's address, Dr. Daulat Ram's address in London, because I am leaving Dublin today and I'll be going to London. So when I reach to the London next day, telegram has already arrived. I had already passed the ECFMG exam before. So with that and telegram, I got a visa immediately. Oh, no problem with that.
So almost year and a half I stayed in Nairobi. The time went by very quickly. And then my father thought, now my husband is already passed one exam in London. It's time for me to move on with my life.
I told her that I am going to the United States, and as soon as I reach the United States, you come over there. I did not know where the Johnson City was. I thought Johnson City was very close to New York City or suburb of New York City. I have no idea where Johnson City was. I didn't look at the map. So I was just happy to be getting to the United States and then see what happens. You know, my life has so many turns, so I don't know what's going to happen next. And whatever happens, I accept it and move on. And that's what the reaction was. So I said, well, very happy to be in the United States. Then I booked the ticket and landed in Kennedy Airport on August 4, 1964.
It's been a hard day's night, and I've been working like a dog. It's been a hard day's night, I should be sleeping like a log. But when I get home to you, I find the things that you do will make me feel alright.
I didn't have much money at that time. You know, I have, for the money I saved, I already spent in Dublin, staying there for a while. I have about $275 of traveler's check, and I had about $100 cash. That's all I have. So I landed at the airport, went in taxi, and told them take me to the Wilson Memorial Hospital, Johnson City, New York. The taxi drivers say, wait a minute, that is about 100 miles from here. You have to go to the Port Authority to take a bus. I have no idea what is Port Authority or where it was the Port Authority. So I took my bag again from the taxi, walking back to the airport, trying to call my friend Ambu Patel in Binghamton to find out what is the easiest way to get there. While I was walking on the airport, I saw my classmate, Dr. Suman Seth. And I said, Suman, I was so excited to see you. I'm so happy. So happy that we said, well, he introduced his wife, Mary. He married an American nurse. He said, I got married 2 days ago. I am in the airport to send off my family, some of the member of the family who is going back to India. And I told him that, look here, I want to go to the Binghamton, Johnson City, Binghamton. And for that, I have to go to the Port Authority and take a bus. He said, okay, wait there, let me talk to my wife. So he took his wife on the side and talked to her. Then he said, if you don't mind to sleep in a couch in my family room, I will take you with me In the 5 o'clock in the morning, I am leaving for my honeymoon to Niagara Falls. And I will drop you at Binghamton, at the Johnson City. I said, oh, that is a wonderful idea. So I was so excited, so happy to see him, number one. Number two, that he is going to drop me to Johnson City, so I don't have to go through the hassle of finding the Port Authority and bus and all other things I never did. Next thing I know, in 3 hours, he dropped me into the Johnson City, New York. So I went to the hospital, I saw the administration. I got my room, 2-bedroom apartment, because my wife was coming. I started working next day. So a week later, my father-in-law was anxious to send the girls here. So my wife and her younger sister, both of them came together to study here, her sister. So both of them started attending the college in Binghamton. And it was a very, very comfortable living. We have a lot of friends there. We made a lot of friends. We really enjoyed the life in Binghamton. I also learned skiing. The first we reached the Binghamton, the same week I wanted to learn skiing. So we lived in the street. At the end of the street, there was a small hill where one person was teaching to ski and giving the ski lessons. It was not a chair or anything, it was a rope. You climb the hill with the rope, and from the end you come down. I bought a wooden ski and the pole from there, and I started learning the ski. And I enjoyed skiing it and become very fond of it. I came here, I saw the snow first time in that winter. And it was really enjoyable to see the snow falling. I was so excited to see the snow falling from the sky. I mean, it was a wonderful feeling to have. Then I bought the car. It was my first Corvair convertible. I paid about $3,000. And in a Binghamton, in a winter time, all the lakes get frozen. And I did not realize, but I thought that it is solid, so we can drive the car on the lake. And I used to go in one lake when there are a lot of other people there, and some people take the car inside and drive around. I used to go and spin the car in the ice, and I didn't realize that it was a damn risky. At that time at Binghamton, there was one cardiothoracic surgeon came. He wanted to start the open heart program. So I used to help him in a dog lab to see the open heart and operate on the dog's heart. He was doing it for his starting to open the open heart program there, someplace. And that was my first idea of becoming a cardiac surgeon. So, okay, now I think I like this operation on the heart, and I want to be a cardiac surgeon. That's how I implanted a seed in my mind to become a thoracic surgeon. In the third year, when I was there, my first son was born, Perry. He was a wonderful baby, chubby, very, very joyous. We had a great time. We took a vacation. When he was 1 month or 2 months old, I took my car. I traveled from here to Florida in that car with my son Perry. We went to the Miami Beach and Daytona Beach and all over places. And we had a good time in vacation.
Perry was the first in 1966. That was also a surprise because I was not planning to have a child. I was going to the secretarial school in Binghamton. So almost my second years I was going to finish within 6 months, and I fainted in the class, and they called my husband, so here 2 intern comes and picks me up from the school and took me to the hospital, and then they told me that I'm pregnant. So that was my first pregnancy, and I was very happy to have my first son. That was the joy it gave me in my life, and my husband also.
So when I finished my 3 years in residency, I started applying for the cardiothoracic residency in several places. And I was accepted at St. Francis Hospital in Roslyn. It was one of the early open heart program. I came here in 1967 and I lived in an apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment in Roslyn. Stayed 1.5 years, mostly assisting. Sometimes I will do the service case, but mostly assisting. Only in a senior year, you will do more surgery. Then I went to the Mount Vernon, Missouri sanatorium where I did a lot of surgery. It was a chest hospital. Everybody who is admitted in the hospital would have to do the bronchoscopy. You have to look into the lung, into the throat and the trachea and bronchi, and take the cultures from each side, see if there is any infection. I used to do every Friday 30 bronchoscopy. All the patients admitted must have a bronchoscopy and have taken culture from each side of the lung. And I did a lot of chest surgery, mainly for tuberculosis, for a fungus disease, and also cancer of the lung. And it was a very, very good experience I got in lung surgery.
Missouri, it was also a very nice, beautiful farmer's village. More like it's all surrounded was nothing much except the small town and the hospital and hospital employees. Small town was very, very small. One grocery store, one pharmacy, everything is a one, and just a small square. But we had a very nice doctors group of people there. And we used to do a lot of activities together. For 6 months we were together. So that was really nice. And it was a beautiful countryside of America. It was really pretty.
At the end of the 6 months, we traveled. I have one friend who was living next to me. His name was Pratap Reddy, who became a very wealthy man in India today. He went back and he started building the hospitals. He have an Apollo hospital chain, which is about, 15 or 20 hospitals. Because he and I traveled together. At the end of my residency, we went from there to Kansas, South Dakota, North Dakota, Wyoming, to Reno, Nevada, all the way to Los Angeles, to Grand Canyon, to Las Vegas, and back to there. And we had a great time traveling together. When I left the Missouri, I came back to St. Francis Hospital in Roslyn, New York, and started my senior year as a chief resident in cardiothoracic surgery with Dr. Mannix. He liked me very much. And he told me that, Manu, there are a lot of service cases. St. Francis used to be a TB sanatorium. And there are a lot of cases at children's at that time. And then there are cases of congenital disease of the children, which has not been treated for a long, long time. So he told me there are so many service cases of children with a congenital disease in the heart that can be fixed. And I will let you do it because I think you are a good surgeon. So you bring those cases, work them up. If they need the surgery, I will help you to do the surgery. I did 22 open heart procedures in children. At that time, in St. Francis, Dr. Mannix did not believe in coronary bypass surgery. He thought that coronary bypass surgery is never going to work. It is going to be a progressive disease. The disease progress, and ultimately you'll die of coronary artery disease. And only solution, he thought, at that time, was that we develop a baboon colony, immunize them against the human rejection, and use the baboon heart as a heart transplant. Heart transplant is going to be the answer for our heart problems. So he told me to go to the dog lab and learn the techniques of heart transplant. During my senior year, I went in a dog lab 2 or twice a week at least, and did the heart transplant. So I did about 50 dog transplant in that time. And Mannix used to come occasionally and he say, how are you working out and technique? And I said, technically we can do it. I told him that before Christian Bernard did the first heart transplant in South Africa, we were ready to do heart transplant here at St. Francis. But it is not a university place, and we did not have immunology department to treat the immunity or rejection problem. So that's why we did not do it. And besides, it was a tremendous other problem associated with heart transplant in a small hospital. So it didn't work. But we were ready to do it. I have done 50 dog heart transplant. And if you can do it in a dog, which is much more difficult than a human, because dog doesn't have that much collagen in the tissue, and it breaks very easily and tears. But if you can do any surgical procedure in a dog, you can easily do it in a human, because human is a lot easier. So that's how I felt at that time, even though I never did the heart transplant clinically, because I never practiced in a center where they do the heart transplant. But I would utmost confidence that if I have to do it, I can easily do it. After almost a year is finishing, and I talked to several attending there, and I told him that I want to do one more year fellowship in the cardiothoracic surgery or in vascular surgery. I applied at the Nassau Hospital at that time, which is now Winthrop University Hospital, for fellowship in cardiothoracic surgery. Mannix, the chief of surgery there, Dr. Mangiardi, and he gave me a position as a first year, as a fellow in cardiothoracic program there. They didn't have approved residency, but they were taking a fellow there. They just starting the open heart program. Mangiardi did earlier open heart, but then now he took a younger partner in his practice and restarted the open heart program.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Oh, that looks beautiful from here. It has a stark beauty all its own. It's like
when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon in 1969, I was at Winthrop University Hospital doing my fellowship in cardiothoracic surgery. It was very exciting. It was the most exciting thing I have ever observed, landing on the moon and survive and come back. I think it was a miracle, in my view, in a modern technology to accomplish that. So that was very, very encouraging and exciting. I felt very proud that we can accomplish this.